There's one. So let me set the stage here. I got here pretty early in the morning. It stayed cloudy, I would say, until about 10 a.m. I wanted to come here and throw the spoon to get started because that's been the hot bait. And I had a few hits, no real commits to those hits. So I switched to an old lure that you'll see in the video. Found a good spot. It came on as soon as the sun came out and the wind died and the water started warming up. That is an absolute key, I think, to marsh fishing. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this episode. Please subscribe. Please give it a thumbs up. Please leave a comment. I'll catch y'all later. Don't know if you can see that grass bed right there. I'm just gonna pull this cockahoe along the edge of it. I will say, cockahoe looks pretty dang natural in the water. Outside of it dragging grass with the hook. Got him, finally. My drag isn't set right. Gotta be a bass. Nope. Speckled trout. Boy, they love that cockahoe. All right. Finally landed one. Hold on, dude. Pretty nice speck, I'd say. Measure them 36 to 21, 15. That is the size I've been catching them out here where I've been fishing. Really nice. As always, I only keep 2 or 3 of these. Thank you, dude. Okay, now we get to see. Was that a fluke? Or are there more? Yeah, the specks really seem to like this cockahoe. Yeah. Oh, there was one. I need to move up some. I was right at the boat. So what's happening is all this water is going right against that little, I don't know what you would call it. Oh, there's a ton of bait in there. That's what's going on. Oh my God. I don't know if that came out. There he is. Yep, found some specks. Or no, that's a little bass. Oh boy. He's getting bigger as I get him closer. Boy, he fought hard. Yep, not a huge bass. I'm gonna keep him because he's not huge. I said that in the last video. So, that's the hot bait, the H&H cockahoe. But I think what's also happening is it's an exposed hook, but I don't know if it came out on the last one when I tried to set the hook. There are a ton of bait fish right there. And I think the specks and the bass are just waiting for those fish to be pushed into that bank. Yeah, it's interesting the technique with this cockahoe. You're really working it as a swim bait. You're not really jigging it like you do the matrix plastics. All right, so 3 casts and 3 hits. Now that I've landed 2, it's over? That's strange. The wind was really supposed to be dead by now. Well, whatever, we're catching fish. Now what could have happened since I caught these 2 is I spooked the fish. That's a possibility. The water's moving pretty fast, so they might just be over there. I'm gonna give it a couple more casts because they were just tattooing it. There's one. There's one. Oh man, this is a nicer one. This might be a redfish. No, my drag's just set. Oh, whatever it is, it's nice. My drag's not set that loose. Although it is set looser than I normally would have it. Big bass. Look at that. Oh my God. That is a huge, huge marsh bass. Look at this bass. And look at its belly. Yeah, I'm gonna have to tag you. A marsh bass that pulled drag. Let's see how long you are. That is a, let's see if that's coming out. That is an almost 17-inch marsh bass. I mean, look at this fish. Look at its belly. It's just chilling over there. That is a gigantic marsh bass. Okay, I kind of hate that I slowed down. This was a hot bite, but definitely want to tag this fish. Okay, just kind of go in their back. And bass, they're the easiest ones to tag. And that's it. Alright, there he goes. Or she. Boy, that was a gigantic marsh bass. Yep, they've all been in one spot and they're hitting it. I mean, pretty quickly. It's either I set the hook immediately and have one, or there's one. Look at this. Found him. That's gonna be a speck. Now I don't know how I'm gonna edit this video. That's the hard part about these videos. But as this morning progressed, I was getting hits and they wouldn't commit. Now I've switched to an exposed hook. That's certainly helping. Let's get a measurement on him. 15.5 inches, 15 inches. I mean, that's the template for the trout right now. All right. Based on the last meal that I cooked for my family, it was about the exact same fish that I have right now. It was 2 15-inch trouts and 1 maybe 12-inch bass. Those fillets made 1 fried fish meal, maybe 2 for my family and I. So today, if the bite stays up, oh, there was one right there, right at the boat. If the bite stays, which is never a guarantee, but suppose it does, I'll probably keep 2 more fish, and that's so I can have maybe a fried fish meal, maybe make a couvillon or something like that. Okay, that's the first time I've had 2 casts in that spot without a bite. My heart's kind of racing. I love when you find a hot bite. But anyway, I don't know how the edit of this video is going to come out. That's actually the difficulty in filming these videos. I'm kind of sitting out here trying to think of something to say. But a recurring theme earlier in the day was just gotta wait. There's one. There's one. I can't see what it is. No, don't get long-term tabs. Man, these bass are fighting so strong. I mean, that was so much of a harder fight than that 15-inch trout. And this looks like a different species of bass. Man, their bellies are all so full. And there's definitely a bunch of bait fish right there. Alright, probably keep one more fish and then it's just fun time. Yeah, there's probably a bunch of bait fish right there. Not probably, I know there is. And this cockahoo is mimicking what those bait fish look like. And it's a simple technique, I'm sure right now with the GoPro looking right at me. You can get a real good idea how I'm fishing it. It's just a swim bait. I'm keeping it relatively high in the water column. Steady retrieve. And they're definitely hitting it on the fall. I'm just picking it up and there's a fish on. Bass and trout. The bass are fighting so much harder. Keep hearing fish feeding behind me. I was thinking if this bite slows down, I'll head that way where the water's going, but I might head behind me. Man, can't believe that. Almost 17-inch bass. That is so big for the marsh. Yeah, and I mentioned in my last video, this plastic, it really is 20 years old. I'll see if I can find something's hitting it. I might need to go a little deeper. See if I can find the wrapper or the plastic that it came in. So you can see, you can't even read anything anymore, but it does have a web address on it. Which makes me think it's not as old as I thought, but who knows, maybe H&H had a website way earlier than I would think they did. Now before I totally leave the spot, I'm at the same spot. That was a trout. That was exactly what I was about to say. I'm going to fan cast this spot before I go. That was 100% a trout. Yep, there's all the bait fish right there. They're still here. Just got to figure out exactly where. Guess what? Look at that. These little dink bass are pulling drag. I mean, look at that. Hey, little guy. Let me get a release shot on you. So one of the things about filming these kind of YouTubes is narration. Everybody wants the narration. Now, I like the narration when I watch other people's videos, but I'm not a natural at it. So what that really means is I'm probably going to be laughing at myself when I edit this video. There's one. Oh, I missed him. I think that was a trout. Anyway, I'm going to be laughing at myself when I edit this video because the entire trip I started throwing a gold spoon and had 4 or 5 hits that I just couldn't set the hook on. And what I was chalking it up to, I have a fish? No. What I was chalking it up to was water was too cold, the sun wasn't out. So I don't know if I just found the fish. I'm going to hazard a guess and say no, because I did have those other strikes. I think water temperature matters way more than people let on. Yeah, it's a totally different game when you're fishing below 50-degree water and you're fishing above 60-degree water. Now that the sun's out, I guarantee you, especially near the surface, it's getting close to 60 degrees. Fish are cold-blooded. They need warmth, external warmth. They can't generate it on their own. And so when the water heats up, they get hungrier. Their metabolism starts to increase. I don't know how I didn't get a backlash there, but I'm not complaining. Man, I cannot believe how hard these bass are hitting. It's fun, man. Little bitty dinks pulling drag. I mean, I probably could stand tight my drag, and I just did. But, I mean, a little 10-inch bass like I just released should not. Alright, let's go back to the original spot. Close. Not quite. Oh, that was one. Yeah, they're hitting it on the drop. Which you'd expect. They're just waiting. They're ambushing right now. Anyway, this 20-year-old piece of plastic, I mean, not just the fact that you don't have to buy the latest technology, it doesn't matter that much, but also think about just the durability of this plastic. You've seen me catch 5 or 6 fish on this lure right here. Well, one thing I haven't talked about, when I change lures, I actually change the whole jig head. So like this one, I use it in a straight retrieve, so I have it tied straight to the line. For if I'm using a matrix, a jig, I tie a loop knot on it. And that way it can kind of get more paddle tail action, I guess is what it does. But anyway, so I actually change the entire jig head every time I change a lure. I don't take the plastic off. So this particular piece of plastic, this 20-year-old piece of plastic, has caught hundreds of fish. Hundreds. Think about that. Think about how much money I haven't spent on new lures. Now, I've definitely spent money on lures. Don't get me wrong. Every fisherman that fishes plastic lures does. It's a problem we all have. As I learn, and as I will preach on this channel You really don't need to be fancy, buying all the new stuff. Now, I do think there's something to say for being novel. So what I mean by that is, I think there's definitely something to say for throwing lures that the fish aren't seeing. But there's just as much stuff that was made 20, 30 years ago that worked then that will work now that nobody is throwing right now. I can't tell you a single YouTube, oh, there's one, where somebody's thrown this particular lure, for example. Not a YouTuber in Louisiana, Mississippi, or Alabama. So what does that mean? It means the fish are not seeing it, and so it becomes novel. And I think that that is important. So when people are like, oh, this new lure, man, it's working so well, I totally believe them. But part of it being a new lure means the fish just haven't seen it yet. Alright, so as bites do, they come and they go. I went back up current, caught one bass, missed what I think was a trout, but certainly not every cast like it was. So I'm going to follow the current and see if I can get back on them. So a lot of times that's what happens when you get on a bite like that. They're just following the bait fish, and the bait fish are mostly being swept away by the current, by the tide. I think in the last video I posted, I kind of started talking about gear. And if I did, I said, I'm not much of a gearhead. Oh, there's one. Oh, he got off. All right. That was a trout. There's one. That's gotta be a trout. My drag is still too loose. No, yeah. Ah, a little rat red. Nice. Little rat red. I haven't caught one of y'all in a while. That's awesome. That's a good sign. I hope I don't mess your eyeball up, dude. Let's see. Use a 15-incher. Put in this tag in. All right, 15-inch red right here. Little rat red. Gonna get him released. All right, so it was exactly as I thought. Just needed the water to warm up. But this is really textbook. Got a draining bayou that's connecting a few larger bodies of water. Lots of bait. Oh, the wind's dead, so the bugs are coming out. But the fish are just following the bait. And the bait's just following the tide. And so we are going to follow the tide. Now I would rather pull this lure. Got him. Another trout. We're on them now, boys and girls. Checked out my analytics. I know I got some ladies watching. Let's see how long he is. Let's see, it's 13 inches. I don't know if that's coming out. 13 inches. Let me keep him. This is going to be actually the last fish that I keep. No lies on that one. If I catch a 18-inch to 20-inch red, I'll probably keep that too, because I really like to barbecue those. Yeah, as I was saying, we just follow the tide, and that's where the bait's going. Again, very textbook spot, a choke point between two larger bodies of water, funneling bait through. And the predator fish are just going to be hanging out, waiting. And I haven't looked at the map in a sec. I've kind of forgotten how this water goes. Looks like the bait's just right over there now. But I think this body just continues connecting other bodies of water and creating more and more choke points. I don't like what my boat's about to do. I wasn't paying attention. My boat's about to swing around like that. Which is not too bad if I catch a fish. Oh, there we go. That's got to be a red. I'm getting some head shakes of that. Is that going to be my 18 incher? No. No, it's just a really strong speck. Alright, I'm going to release him, so what I'm going to do is get my hands wet first, and I'm going to tag him. Okay, so the reason you get your hands wet first for these guys, oh, I'm about to put it in the wrong way. Gets less goo on your hands, which in turn means less goo off of their scales. The goo on their scales helps protect them from bacterial infection and things like that, which, if you watched my last video, I pretended to care about that, but I have forgotten to clean the tag. I don't know what that thing's called. Tag applicator? Tag hole puncher? I don't know what it's called. Anyway, I should clean it before I tag another fish. Kind of funny, I haven't had any comments, but of course I didn't promote that video at all. There's one. Oh, this is nice whatever it is. Of course I say that about all of them, but this one, he's tugging. Yep, that's a red. No? Yep. Little rat red. Nice. He'd probably keep. Let's see if he's in my 18-inch range. Yeah, boy, we have found the fish. Not huge fish like I've been catching. I'm also not fishing with that spoon. That's a 16-inch red. Look how blue its tail is. Beautiful. That would be a keeper, but I'm not going to keep that. I find that keeping, even though this is a keeper, keeping a 16-inch red, you get hardly any meat. All right, buddy. Whew. Relative to the amount of work you got to do to clean them, so I just decide not to. Boy, this spot has turned out to be really productive. But I really, the spot is textbook, sure, but I really think it's the sun coming out and warming up the water. You know, it's interesting, when I first started fishing, it was almost like horoscopes, talking to my fishing buddies, trying to figure out patterns for when they were biting and this, that, and the other. And tide matters. You definitely want moving water. I don't think tide matters. Like, do you want a falling or a rising? I think I'd prefer falling, as most people would, but it's not a strong preference relative to a rising tide. Captain Clay, who runs a marina and some cabins you can stay at down near Port Sulphur, he once told me when it's really high tide, they're gonna be in the grass, boy. And he's right. I mean, when it's high tide, you just take something weedless and throw it right into the grass. When it's low tide, you look for stuff like this. Choke point coming out into a bigger body of water with structure that fish can hide in. And that's pretty much it. And those are the patterns. I can be very honest and say, I've never fished here before. I've fished near here, but not here. This was something I wanted to come fish today. And I'm glad I did. I had a hunch and it was right. But I think overall, it's the water temperature. I'm gonna go look at my depth finder in a second, but I'd be willing to bet it's over 60 right now. And that triggers a bite. One thing I'm learning as I get better at this, I mean, these are just biological creatures. They have their habitat they live in, and they have what they need to live. And part of that is they're cold-blooded, and they have to have warmer temperatures to have a metabolism that makes them hungry. And so as water temperature heats up, they're going to get hungrier. I'm about back to where I started from, this small little ditch that connected this bayou. Every time I'm out here, I'm always thinking of my girls. And if you don't have a situation like that, I'm very sorry. I hope that one day you do. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be two girls or really anything. It's just the people in this world that make you feel whole, make you feel happy. All right, I think that was the last cast.